I want to give a quick run through of the Dahlgren house on Garfield Road. This was an old chicken coop that Bill converted to a home for he and Mamie and the 4 boys. During the Depression, they left their house in Jamestown and moved to the property. There was a entryway here that you'd come into. I think it was actually built out of doors. Had a roof on it. Had a little door here, and then you'd have a second door to break the cold. You'd come into the main room. There would be a Moore stove sitting here. Over there was a sink, but no running water. It was a stainless steel sink, just popped in there with a drain out the back of the building. Moore stove would be there. They probably had a wood potbelly stove at one time. The kitchen table would be sitting here when I was a child in the late 60s. Grandma would be sitting there with her coffee and a sweet roll. There was a little power, the light. They probably lived with candle power back in the day, oil lamps. There's a light I know my dad put in to give a little more light, because he had a bunch of those lights that he got somewhere, secondhand. You look over here, there's a pantry where she kept her food and canned goods. The sink is right to my right. I didn't show that, but here's a stove. I don't know if they use a stove for heat or what, but it was connected to gas. It was a 4-burner stove. This kind of thing has actually come back into fashion now. Got to excuse all my grunts and groans as I'm walking around here. On this side, you got 2 burners that are heated by wood or coal. Had to be piped out the back of the house somehow. Let me get this out of the way so we can take a look under here. Nothing's jumping out to get me. So I'll get my flashlight out and we can see what's in the bottom. I think there's a grate in there where the ashes can sift through. I guess you just drop your wood in or your coal in right through the top. And then it would basically be always on. Yep, the ashes, just shake it up and drop the ashes out, and there's probably a opening in the front to pull the ashes out. So this house they lived in with their 4 boys until the boys went to other places. Probably 5 or 6 years as the boys started going to other people to help on other farms. And then after Bill passed away, Grandma Swanson moved in. So this is a room that they added on so that Bill and Mamie would have a place to sleep. No insulation, it's just a simple room with a flat roof. Later on, the boys added a little septic system with a toilet. They had an outhouse, and that goes probably into the 50s. It was probably in the early 60s that toilet got put in. Had to be flushed with a bucket of water because there was no water in this house. The only thing the house had was electric and gas that I'm aware of. It would be kind of an open area in the middle with a table off to the side. You know, the baths were in a pot on the floor. This is the bedroom where the boys were. When I remember it, Grandma Swanson was in here. You can see, didn't focus right, but it's a nice view of the valley. And back in the day, it was all wide open farmland. Most of what you see in the background was not wooded. But this room was where the boys were, and Grandma Swanson was in the corner of the room in her bed until it was time for her to pass. Right there is where the bed was. My dad said there were bunk beds in here somehow. I'm not sure if they were set up in this room or if this closet was added later, but can't quite make out. It was a little too dark for the camera to pick up there, but yeah, I did want to show where we came from. This is where the family lived. Water came from there was a dug well out in the yard, and then later on in the new house. But hey, thanks for taking a quick look. My battery's dead now.